Okay, so if you have not heard, Netflix is considering purchasing Warner Brothers Studios or Discovery Studios for $82.7 billion. Now, I've heard a lot of people talk about this is not a great decision. Some people have said this is a great decision. Now, for my opinion, I believe this is probably one of the best decisions Netflix could make at this time. I think it's a great decision. Now, of course, Paramount is trying to purchase the HBO product. They have put their bid. I think their bid was roughly around 102, 108 billion dollars. Sorry, I was about to say million. 108 billion, which I'm sure they want to prevent Netflix from getting any bigger. The reasons why I think this is a great deal for Netflix are a couple reasons. Now, of course, if you are doubting or you are considering or you are hating on Netflix, Netflix is the best streaming platform, hands down. Now, if you do not believe me, I am unfortunately sorry for you, but Netflix is the best platform, and I will give you a couple of reasons why. Netflix is probably the only platform that can reach internationally at a high level. Now, I know that, Disney, HBO, all the other streaming platforms are able to, quote unquote, reach internationally, either Europe or, Middle East, Asia. Yeah, they can kind of reach. But the problem is, from what I see, is the products that are being provided in those areas are not similar to what those people consume. But Netflix does it. If you go to another country, for instance, if you go to any African country that has Netflix shows those countries' movies. If you go to America, they show American movies. If you go to Asia, they will show Asian movies. Like, they have such a wide, broad angle on the whole world, pretty much. I mean, if it's not covering every single place of the world, it's covering a whole lot of them. Now, other streaming companies do not have that. HBO does not have an area where if you go to, England or Ireland or Nigeria or wherever, you would be seeing HBO movies that were made for in Nigeria, or HBO movies that were made for in England, stuff like that. You don't see that kind of thing. You would see American movies being pushed and forced onto other countries that want to watch it. Netflix is doing a great job with this. I cannot doubt that they will be on top for a long time. It is so hard to get the kind of reach that Netflix has right now that I will be surprised if Netflix doesn't stay on top for years and years to come. Now, them purchasing the Warner Brothers Discovery Studios is a great idea. Now let's talk about their platforms and what do you pay for. Now, of course, you have the different kinds of streaming platforms, whether it's the one that has advertising or the one that doesn't have advertising. They've added gaming to their system. They're trying to add live sports. All these things are covered with your monthly subscription on whatever you do. So if you're trying to watch live sports, boxing, comedy, gaming, if you have a monthly subscription for Netflix, it's all covered. Outside of them increasing the price per month to increase their revenue, another way Netflix can actually make more money is by producing movies that they push to theaters. Now, say for instance, you have a subscription with Netflix. You are paying your regular, whether it's $15 a month, $10 a month, whatever the price is. You're paying your $15 a month for Netflix, watching all the shows you want to watch. Your loving life. And then Netflix makes a good movie, a movie that is like blockbuster worthy, like K-pop Demon Hunter or The Old Guard, or movies that were like, if you saw them in theaters, you were like, that's good enough to be in a theater. When they make those movies and they spend the amount that they spend and then put it on your streaming service, they don't get any extra revenue per se. Nothing extra. You're already paying the monthly fee, and that was an added show that you benefited from watching. Now, imagine if you are still paying your monthly fee, they were able to make that movie in a studio, and then put it in theaters. If you want to watch it, you have to go to a theater and pay a separate $15 just for that movie. That is the same amount as you might have paid for your 1 month subscription for 1 month. So therefore, Netflix has now gained an extra month for payments without doing anything different. They would, of course, later on put that movie on their streaming platform, but they don't have any rush. They don't have to rush. They could leave it in theaters and just let it go for a couple months. Everybody that would have watched it would have paid an extra, 1 month's worth of movies. So if you look at it that way, depending on how many good movies Netflix makes, depends on how many extra months they could get without actually increasing the price on a monthly basis for people's subscription. How is that not a win? How is that not good business? That makes perfect sense. To me, I know people had fears. Some writers had fears that they would, since they have their own writers, they would not have to go through the same rules, laws with the Writers Guild Association. I don't know how true that is. Like, I don't know if that would happen. Is really based on the CEOs. Only they would know, and only time will tell if that is a possibility. And that is a very big possibility that they could do that. But they will still have writers. Now, whether the writers will have more power or the ones that are there will still stay there, that's a totally different conversation. But what I am saying is that if they are able to get the studios, I believe that they will use it to the best of their abilities. They will use it as much as possible to create movies for them to get extra revenue without doing anything extra. Netflix already makes movies. They already pay a boatload of money for a boatload of things. This will probably reduce their cost in a lot of production, whether it's the comedy cost. They could just be like, oh, you don't have to go rent a place. Come to our studio and do the comedy session there. Oh, we don't have to make the movie in Ireland or fly everybody over there. We have a studio. Let's just make it right here. Everybody's already on staff. They're already paying for everything. Everything's already paid for pretty much. Let's just do it. To me, that is a good idea. Now, you have Paramount that is trying to buy the HBO studios. To be honest with you, I understand why they're trying to buy, because they do not want Netflix to get to get more, I don't want to say equity, but more resources to expand their streaming network. Of course, you have to try and stop them. But for me, I don't think it's a good idea for Paramount. I really don't. I think it'll probably bog them down too much because they have too much physical studios. They'll probably have way too much physical studio. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if they cut staff. It would make perfect sense for Paramount if they purchased the Warner Brothers Discovery Studio. People will be laid off. Mostly the writers, everybody, they will be laid off because they will not need it'll be too massive. It wouldn't make any sense. If people are saying this might be a conflict, I do not see a conflict of interest in Netflix because I don't believe Netflix has a studio as big as Warner Brothers Studio. I don't think even the movies that are being housed on like HBO and are kind of a different genre than what Netflix usually pushes out. To be honest with you, it's kind of, I mean, Netflix does have the areas where, yes, it's the exact same. I get it. But the entire focus, it's kind of different, where I don't see how it could be an issue with the FCC or anybody reviewing the purchase of the company unless they just didn't like Netflix. But let me know what you think. I really do believe for Netflix thinking in this way, golden. They are on the right path. They are rationalizing things very well. I just don't see, the only thing that I see that could be an issue is if they have bad management. If they have poor management on how to navigate the studio, because now they will have a physical area that they will have to take care of, manage, know how the thing works, what to do with it, what movies to shoot there and what movies to not. They would have to do a very good job in doing that. But if they can figure it out, I'm telling you, Netflix would be a company to pay attention to. It would definitely grow bigger. I do believe that they would have a stronghold on streaming, because I know shows are going there. People still love going to theaters, which is why they're probably purchasing that so that they can still get that effect. People are losing the theater feeling, like, buying popcorn, getting the drink, sitting down if you're on a date, or just hanging out with friends and watching a movie theater, rather than going to your friend's house with your whatever size TV you have. And depending on the environment, it might not be the greatest, or it might be the greatest. But they're trying to capture every single thing. They're trying to capture the theater love and the stay-at-home love of movies and make money from both. That is a good, whoever thought of that, great idea. Now, the only last thing you have to try to figure out is doing live networks. Now, that might be harder, because that would probably have to mean that your advertising revenue needs to just increase like crazy. If you're trying to go that route, they need to like focus on their advertising revenue and how to bring more subscribers to there. And I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if they start getting that. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Netflix did a great job in Steve Hastings. He did. I think it's Steve Hastings. He did a great job in envisioning this company, and I think it's great. I think good luck. And if you guys have anything else you want to talk about, just let me know. Leave a comment in the comments. Click on the bell. Click on the subscription. And yeah, join me for the next topic. I'll be talking about random things. I'll always be talking about either investing, stocks, anything that deals with money, even taxes. I'll also talk about. But hope to hear from you guys later. You guys have a great one. Happy New Year.